Hello, everybody. I'm Laura Peterson, your host of Central Florida Real Estate Radio. I'm from Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and to discuss the sale of your home, you can call or text 407-566-2555. That's 407-566-2555. So lots of great stuff to talk about today when it comes to real estate and what's happening in Central Florida. And I'm looking at the stats as I always do, and for January, and I was just thinking about this a couple of days ago that, the numbers to me are really low when it comes to the sales of single family homes and how many we're selling on a weekly basis right now. And I forgot it's January, which is one of our least months of the year that we have sales. There were 228 last week, up from that it was 315 the week before. So I thought, okay, I'm going to look at what happened a year ago, and I found that we were exactly in the same spot. So what I've noticed in the market right now is that things are starting to pick up. So if you are a buyer, I would suggest that you do something now before everybody decides to pick things up, and then you're in competition with a lot of people. Right now, you can get some deals and everything. A lot easier than you probably could if you wait, because as the market tightens up, then definitely it's like you're in competition with other people. So if you're paying cash and all of that, you might be in a little bit better shape than somebody who's getting a loan. But if you do need seller concessions, I would say that I would go sooner rather than later and try to do that. But there were 228 single-family homes that sold last week. The median price was at $415,000, which is down a little bit from the week before. The inventory is still climbing. It was up another 67. So how that all shakes down, of those 228, that puts 21 of them under 250, 25 between 250 and 300, 55 between 300 and 400, 46 between 400 and 500, 67 between 500 and a million, and 14 over a million. So our months of inventory, because of the low number, is at 7.81, which is a buyer's market. In all the price points, under 250, we're at 5.78, which is a normal market. 4.29, 250 to 300, normal market. And then all the rest of them, 300 and above, are pretty much starting to be a buyer's market at the particular moment. So I think that it would be a good idea if you're looking to purchase a home that you would maybe consider it now, because you might get some deals and that kind of stuff. Now, you might not get $100,000 off of a price, but maybe you're going to get 20 or 30. And a couple of years ago, when we were doing, when we were looking at things, people were actually getting 20 or 30,000 above the asking price, and they were making the asking price significantly higher than anything that it had been in the past. So it was just kind of crazy, and that's what happened. But basically, when it comes down to it, I think that finding the best situation for you and your family, you're going to have the most choices probably about now. So looking at condos, townhomes, and villas, there were 77 of them sold last week. It was 81 the week before. And the median price of condos, townhomes, and villas increased to $278. So $415 for the single family homes and $278 for the condos, townhomes, and villas. Their inventory is still increasing too. It went up by 47. And so we'll look at that and how everything shakes down at that. So of those 77, 30 of them were under 250, 15 between 250 and 300, 15 between 300 and 400, and then we go to 11 between 400 and 500, 6 between 500 and a million, and none sold over a million. So we're at 12 months of inventory, basically when we're looking at the condos, townhomes, and villas. Under 250, we're at 12 right there. We go to 9 between 250 and 300, and then we're at 15.72 between 300 and 400. So one of the things that I think is really important, if you do have a condo, townhome, and villa, that you really need to look at your pricing of it. If you're the seller, I was actually telling this to one of my sellers that I'm working with, and we got the property under contract. But basically, the bottom line is that there is a lot of inventory out there when you're looking at that. Now, the list to ask price ratio, you'd think, oh, wow, it's going to be really low. But it was at 96.42. And when you're looking at the single family homes, they're at 97.26, which even in the height of everything, I mean, we were at 98, maybe 99, a couple of weeks and stuff like that. So basically, when you're coming to it, and everything, the prices are still holding very close to where the list to ask price ratio is. Always on the under 250 and the over $1 million is really where we have the most room. And so that's just kind of the way that it has been for a long time. And when you have more people in those middle ranges, they end up being a lot closer to the list to ask price ratio. But everything is very local. And I mean, we talk about local, that's what's going on in the overall Orlando market. But I was talking to a seller this week in one of the communities, and it's Story Lake, which is in Kissimmee. It's a recently new build. It's probably in the last 5 years, 10 years that they've been building it. Time flies. I think it's like 2 or 3, but it was at least 5 when they started it there. And Story Lake is very close to Disney. They have in it communities that are they have communities within the community, and they have some that are strictly owner occupied, and then they have some that are short-term rental. And so they have both types of property that are in there. But I was looking in there, for a buyer, and there are 58 townhomes on the market. And there are a total of 20 that have sold in the last 6 months. So basically, when it comes down to it, what I had figured out, and I might not be 100% right in the numbers that I told you, but I remember that it was 13 months of inventory of the townhouses that are available in Story Lake. Now, sometimes that happens when a property, a community is fairly new, because they're kind of transient, I guess it is probably for the first few years, because people move in there and then they're like, oh, I'd really like to get something else. And some people constantly want to be moving to another new home. So they might have bought that as a new home, and then they want to move to another new home a couple of years later because they just love being in new homes. So some of that is transient, that you're going to find there. But basically, when it comes down to it, it kind of, goes right along with these condos, townhomes, and villas that exist out there. So if you're a seller, you definitely have to be pricing it aggressively to even be seen. If there's 58 of them out there that are available, a person isn't going to go look at every one of those 58 in that community to make that decision. Most buyers aren't going to. So they're going to make a decision based on what they see in the pictures. They're going to make a decision based on what the price is and all of that kind of stuff. So it's really price sensitive is where we're at right now. If you're a seller, you've got to remember that. And if you're a buyer, you might want to take advantage of it. So either side of the coin that you're on, you can make it happen. There are properties that are selling, which is the good news. It just comes down to what kind of property is selling and what does that mean for you in regards to what you want to do and where you want to move forward with your family. So in order to get in touch with us, you can call or text 407-566-2555. You can find us online at centralfloridarealestateradio.com, and we'll see you after the break. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Laura Peterson, your host of Central Florida Real Estate Radio. I'm from Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and to discuss the sale of your home, you can call or text 407-566-2555. That's 407-566-2555. So I wanted to talk today. I saw this article and it kind of goes with what I was talking about in the last segment. And it says 3 reasons to buy a home before spring. And let's face it, buying a home can feel like a challenge with today's mortgage rates. You might be thinking, should I just wait until spring when more homes hit the market and rates might be lower? But here's the thing that no one knows for sure, where mortgage rates are going to go from here, and waiting could mean facing more competition, higher prices, and a lot more stress. So if you were buying now, one of the things that you have to realize is that you're going to have less competition from other buyers, which is what I was saying in the last segment. And actually, according to the National Association of Realtors, the homes sit on the market longer in winter compared to spring and summer. And basically, that you might think, well, that might be for maybe up north or something where they're contending with the cold weather, even though I feel like we've had cold weather this year. But basically, it happens here too. Like I was talking about, that normally in a normal week, we're selling in the neighborhood of about 400 or so houses a week. And this week it was at 215. So basically, that means that the buyers have a lot more choices and everything right now, especially with the months of inventory that exists out there. So, and it does happen in the spring. People get the bug and say, okay, it's time to move. And so they start looking, and then that kind of drives prices higher. And that does happen. So even in our climate, it happens. You would think that in our climate, you would not find that, but you do. And the second thing is, the reason that you might want to do that is more negotiating power. With homes staying on the market longer, sellers might be more willing to negotiate. This can lead to a better deal for you as a buyer, whereas that means a lower price or added incentives. The sellers covering closing costs or making repairs. Basically, when the demand is lower, sellers often feel more pressure to work with serious buyers, and this could give you an edge to negotiate terms that work best for your situation. Maybe it's that, you want a piece of furniture that they have or something like that. Maybe it's closing costs. Maybe it's buying down the rate for you when it comes to all of those things. And basically, you don't know what the seller's situation is. And so you might make, an offer today, and it might not go where you want it to. But a week from now, maybe they'll change their mind. I'm working with a buyer right now, and they do like to make low offers in the neighborhood of about $100,000 less than what the house is listed for. And they have their reasons of why they want to do that. And so we go ahead and we do that. And basically, most of the time, or all of the time so far, we've been denied. But the interesting thing that I'm finding is that the sellers are sometimes lowering the amount, lowering the amounts, and then they're coming back to us and saying, hey, what do you think about this or that or whatever? And so, it's like, even if you put in a low offer and they don't take it right now, if you're patient, maybe they're going to take it a couple of weeks from now. You don't know. We don't know that for sure. So basically, we do what we can do to make sure that we do everything that we can to get you the best deal. But if you're looking for negotiating power, now is the time to do that as a buyer, that you can do it. And the opposite is true at other times as well in a seller's market, that the seller is the one that has the negotiating power, because they can kind of, take what they want and all of that kind of stuff. And you can make a lot of demands. I want to move on this day, and I want cash, and I want this much cash, and all of that kind of stuff. So depending on the market depends on really what you can do. So I always tell everybody, we can't change the market, but we do operate optimally within it. And we do that constantly and consistently. And we do like to make sure that that happens. So, what you want to do is lock in today's prices before they rise. So one of the things that I hear a lot of times is people saying, hey, I'm going to wait until that interest rate goes down. But you could qualify now. And so, my opinion is always that you would go ahead and get in the house now and then refinance a few months down the road when the interest rates go down and you've got the best of both worlds. If you're waiting to, until that interest rate goes down, guess what? That's going to be the same situation for everybody out there. And so when you're looking at the way that the interest rates are, basically, if you're waiting for them to go down, then you're going to have competition for all those other people that were waiting for them to go down too. And so you could actually get that interest rate possibly right now too by actually buying down the rate and getting the closing costs from the seller in order to do that. So again, like I said, you could have the best of both worlds when it comes to buying a house now. So there's no perfect time to buy a house. And basically, there's no perfect market for everybody at this point, at any point in time. So like I always say, and I just said earlier in the show, that we definitely want to make sure that we operate optimally within the market because we can't change it. It is what it is. But there are situations that people have out there and there are deals to be had out there. So like my buyer that's offering perhaps $100,000 under the asking price on a $600,000 house. They're not getting it all the times, but there are times when they are getting it. And so basically, when people are getting those kinds of deals. So you don't know until you try. And once you let the seller know that you're out there, they could come back and say, okay, now if you're still interested, I'll take that deal. And maybe you'll be out there and ready to do it, and maybe you won't. But basically, if you've made your needs known, you're going to have a lot better chance of having it happen than if you don't have your needs known. And that's what I think is most important when it comes down to figuring out, what you want to do as a buyer or a seller. Put it out there and make sure that you know what's going on. There's a seller that I'm working with now, and the house is not on the market yet. It's going to be coming on shortly. We're just working out a couple of little details, but we did get multiple cash offers on the home, for this seller. And basically, they were actually pretty good and 90% of or better of what she wanted. But she looked at it and she said, I would rather put it on the market and get a little bit more money and that kind of stuff instead of selling it to one of these cash people that they would put it back on the market and sell it for a little more money and make their margins. And so it's not necessarily a huge margin that these companies are making or that they would do on it. But basically, when it comes down to it, you've got to look at what's best. You want that convenience of having a cash offer, and many people do, and other people don't. So when you're looking at it, you've got to look at what's right for you and your family in making those decisions. Now, the thing that's really great about what we have to offer is that in our multiple cash offer platform, we don't just come in with one cash offer. We come in usually about 10 different options for you. And so it really works out good for everybody. It's a win-win situation. It makes it so that people can look at it with open eyes and see what's their best option when it comes down to it and what they want to do. So, my goal is finding out what you as a buyer need or what you as a seller needs, and then we can go from there. And that's what really makes everything work. So, it's like my biggest thing that I want to make sure is that you're buying the house that you want and not settling if you don't have to. Now, obviously, if you're a first-time buyer, you're not going to buy your dream home necessarily because, you might have to, work up to that and all of that kind of stuff. And real estate is kind of made that makes it pretty easy to do. But as a potential buyer, we're gonna make sure that you get everything that you can, that we take advantage of the market to get that best thing for you and your family, and that's what we love doing. So in order to get in touch with us, you can call or text 407-566-2555. You can find us online at centralfloridarealestateradio.com, and we'll see you after the break. Welcome back, everybody. This is Laura Peterson, your host of Central Florida Real Estate Radio. I'm from Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and to discuss the sale of your home, you can call or text 407-566-2555. That's 407-566-2555. So one of the things that I was looking at this week is that it's interesting that more people are buying multi-generational homes. And you might say, well, what is that? And that is, and the number that are looking for multi-generational homes is 17%. And it's the highest level ever recorded. And you might say, well, what is that? And it's where when you buy a house with your parents, your adult children, or even distant relatives. And so it's pretty interesting that they're doing that. And in the past, home buyers often opted for multi-generational homes to make it easier to care for their parents. And while that's still a key reason, it's not the only one. Right now, there's another powerful motivator, and that is affordability. And so according to the latest data from the National Association of Realtors, cost savings are the main reason more people are choosing to live with family today. The rising cost of home ownership is making it harder for many people to afford a home on their own, and it's led to more family pooling their resources to make home buying possible. Now, when they do this, a lot of times there are like in-law suites, so the adult children are living in them or the parents are living in them. And so it's not like they're completely 100% under the same roof, but there's many times where people are like, hey, I'd like to live next door or down the block or whatever, just because it makes it, easier to be with their relatives or close to them or whatever. So it's a thing is basically what I'm trying to say, that people like to do that and do that. And so that's something that that basically you want to look at when it comes down to it. 17% of the people are doing that. So, you might think, well, I've got a really big house and all of that kind of thing, and I want to downsize. Well, multi-generation could be moving right in. And a lot of times they're looking for en-suites, more than one en-suite and that kind of stuff when it comes down to it. I was talking to a lady earlier this week, and she actually is moving to the area. She's moving from Staten Island. And what she was looking for is that she wanted to have at least, 4 bathrooms in the house because she's bringing a nanny with her and all kinds of things like that, that they wanted to make sure that they had space for everybody. So again, a multi-generation type of home is something that they're looking for. So, there's several of those houses that I was looking at actually with the buyer as well. They did have an in-law suite. It was actually a courtyard home. And those courtyard homes, when you walk into them, everybody walks in the front door. And then to the right of these, there's several of them that I know that are in this particular community. There's an ensuite right there that is the courtyard, multi-generation type of place. And then they actually have a pool, and then they have the front door, the master, or the primary bedroom is also looking onto the courtyard area, as well as the living room, dining room. There was a summer kitchen in here. So it was a great place for everybody to gather outside that was completely enclosed because there was a wall up against the area that wasn't house. So it's kind of, the house is kind of in a U. And then the pool was in the middle there and everything like that. So it was actually, there's quite a few of those out there, and they're, really just a great place where everybody has their space. And then they also have the opportunity to do what they want to do on that. Now, there are multiple communities that have these as well. And so if that's something that you're interested in looking at and checking out, then just let me know, and we can definitely get you into those and all of that kind of good stuff. But my point is that listening to you, the buyer, to find out what you really want is very important to me. But the other thing that I think is really important is that if we're not only looking at, what's going on with the particular, with a particular buyer, but looking at what's going on with the sellers. And I do the same thing with the sellers. I'm always asking the questions in regards to what are you looking for? What are you trying to accomplish? And in that, then I'm able to find exactly the right buyer for that house, the right price for the house, making it work. Many times sellers, they are going to have to live somewhere. And so they're looking for that next place that they're going to go. So in my opinion, if you've got the buy sell and I work with you on both of them, then that actually sets it up so that we can make that net number what it really needs to be. So maybe it's that you want to put $100,000 in your pocket when you're all said and done. You want to sell the house that you're in, downsize a little bit, put $100,000 in your pocket, and be in the neighborhood that you want to be with the amenities that you want to have. So making the whole picture count and making the whole picture happen what it wants to be is our best bet in actually making it work for every person out there. And so that's absolutely, how I start with it and where we go with it to make sure that we make everything happen the way that everybody wants it to. And so you've got to be conscious about what people want to do in order to do that. And so we have probing questions that we ask in order to find that, not to get into your business, but just to kind of figure out, what you want to accomplish. And, because when you're, it's like, hey, I want to move, but you might not know everything of why you want to move or what you want to do to make that happen. And that's absolutely, what we're trying to do is to make sure that we cover that, to make sure that you are into that house and find that house that you really want to have. And that's absolutely what it's all about. And that's where we don't make mistakes in regards to finding the right house for people, is because we've done our homework in talking to you, in finding out why you want to move or what your purpose is and what your goals are and what you want to accomplish. And so when we do that, then we're able to make it happen. If we don't know, we're just guessing, and obviously guessing doesn't work really good for a lot of things. So we want to make sure that we absolutely find the right thing and do everything that makes it happen for people. So that's our best thing for us to do. And so, even if you don't want to work with us, just sit down with us and we'll go through and help you figure out that maybe now is not the right time for you, but maybe it is, and you don't know until you sit down and figure it out and go through it. So you've got to have someone that you really know has your best interest at heart to make it happen. And there's times where I tell people, hey, now is not the right time for you and everything. And, they're happy that they waited a few months or they waited a year or they waited whatever. But there's other people that they're going, gosh, I wish I would have done it sooner. And I wish I would have called you sooner. And so it's never too early or never too late to give us a call to find out, what's your best option in regards to what you want to make happen. And that's really what I like about this business, and I like about helping people. And so it just makes it all worthwhile. So in order to get in touch with us, you can call or text 407-566-2555. You can find us online at centralfloridarealestateradio.com, and we will see you after the break. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Laura Peterson, your host of Central Florida Real Estate Radio. I'm from Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and to discuss the sale of your home, you can call or text 407-566-2555. That's 407-566-2555. So one of the things that I thought I would look at was the journey to an 808 credit score. And basically, building and maintaining a good credit score requires consistent financial discipline and a clear understanding of the factors influencing credit score modules. Now, basically, you don't have to have an 808 credit score in order to get a house. But if you do, basically, you're many times you're going to get a little bit better interest rate than somebody that's at 650. And so the higher the credit score, the better off that you're going to be doing. And what's considered a good credit score is anything above 670 is considered good. And so, there's, and then a credit score in the mid to high 600s or higher is typically regarded as good. However, scores closer to the top of these ranges represent a stronger financial profile. For instance, a credit score of 808 not only qualifies individuals for better loan terms and higher credit limits, but also places them in a category that lenders view as exceptionally low risk. So additionally, individuals with a credit score of 808 or higher often gain access to exclusive credit card offers with premium rewards, reduced fees, and extra perks. And it can streamline and expedite the approval process of purchasing a home and that kind of thing, or auto loans. So how do you get that credit score? So number one is paying your bills on time. So payment history is the most significant factor in credit scoring. Consistently making payments on or before the due date builds a strong record of reliability. So that's something that they like, obviously. Keeping your credit utilization low. Now, credit utilization is, say that you have a credit card that has $1,000 limit and you only spend less than $100 on it and you have a $100 balance on it. That is a low utilization of your credit. So you're using it, but you're not using much of it. So they know that you're disciplined, that you don't spend every penny that you could get your hands on. And so that's what they like as well. And then maintaining a long credit history, that keep your older accounts open and active to demonstrate a sustained financial responsibility over time. And then diversify your credit types. A mix of credit such as credit cards, mortgages, and personal loans shows you can manage different forms of credit effectively. Limit your new credit applications. Avoid applying for multiple credit accounts in a short period of time. Frequent inquiries can lower your score. So that's another thing that you need to know. Regularly monitor your credit. Review credit reports to ensure accuracy and promptly dispute any errors that may impact your score. And I know today, Credit Karma is a big one that a lot of people have. I have that on my phone as well for myself. And basically, it's like you can check it consistently and see if something's going on with it and try to figure out, why it's going up or why it's going down. And then if it's going up and you can figure it out, then do more of that. And going down, you might want to check into it. But regularly monitoring it to see if something's going on that you didn't do, then that's a huge thing that you want to do as well. Another thing is to set up automatic payments. Automating payments helps ensure bills are always paid on time, which prevents missed or late payments that could harm your credit score. And I found that this to be extremely helpful that you do that. If you're getting a loan, if you've had one late on a car payment in the last year, it's going to prevent you from getting a mortgage loan. So you definitely want to do the things that you can do in order to eliminate the fact that you could have a problem, getting a loan. You want to make yourself so that maybe it's not something that you want to do, but if you are ready to do it, it's easy to pull the trigger and to do that. And so automatic payments definitely help you do that. But, if something changes with your credit card and like a debit card that you've got that's making automatic payments, you've got to be careful and aware in regards to what's going on with that. Another thing that you can do is pay balances in full when possible. Paying off monthly credit card balances demonstrates financial discipline and is a healthy credit profile. And then limit closing accounts. Avoid closing old credit accounts unless necessary. Doing so can reduce your overall credit history and available credit, which impacts your score. So, for example, if you've got a credit card and you've had it for 10 years and you have another one that's better, you don't necessarily want to close that old one because you got a lower interest rate on something. You might keep it open and just keep it, with a minimum balance, and maybe you get gas once a year and then you pay it once a month, and then you pay it off. But basically what that's going to do is that's going to show that you can be responsible. And then that new one with the lower credit rate, lower interest rate, you can, keep that one. And then as that gets a length of time, maybe you would close that other one, but you want to definitely make sure that you want to limit closing accounts. And then you want to stay informed about credit score factors, like educate yourself about the changes in the credit scoring models or criteria. Now, basically, when it comes down to it, we do have some resources that we can use that basically, if you do need credit repair, that they can go ahead and they can do that for you. They can work on that with you. And we work in conjunction with our lender, that they've got these companies that they've been working with for years that really help you in getting ready. So, the best thing for you to do, I think, when you're looking at your credit and what you want to do is, if there's a question about it, is the best thing to do is to sit with a mortgage broker that actually can go through and say, okay, you're qualified now, but it would be better if your credit score was maybe 30 points higher, 20 points higher, 10 points higher, 5 points higher, who knows? But it could be something small like that. And so what they can do is they can put it through the simulator and they can say, hey, if you paid off this, store credit card, then that would raise your score by 10 points. And that's what you need in order to get this done. So they've got that, which works really well for a lot of people that are really close. But if you've got some challenges like medical bills or something like that, then that might be something that you want to look at that could help you out. So basically, there's lots of opportunities out there for growth and improvement when it comes to our credit scores. And so you want to make sure that you've found the best one that works for you. The last thing that I wanted to talk about today is actually insurance in our markets. And there is another new insurer that entered the Florida market. Mangrove Property Insurance marks the 11th insurer entering the market since legislative changes. So basically, they now were just approved January 15th. And then what they did is they actually took some of the Citizens policies, 81,000 of them, as a matter of fact, and they gave them to this Mangrove Property. So, when you're getting Citizens insurance, which is the policy that if you can't get it from anywhere, the state will insure you, they're constantly moving those off into companies that are going to be, charging the same rate or less or whatever. It's not going to change your rate by going with these people. But basically, what it does is that it takes some of the burden off of the state and everything. So that's really good news, in my opinion. So like I think I mentioned earlier, it's like my insurance this year stayed the same as last year, which I was happy as a camper on that. I had shopped it last year and got it down another $1,000. And so I thought it was reasonable for what it was and what it is in this market. And so, insurance is something that you definitely have to shop. This company that came on board, they are available in all 67 counties of Florida, and they're available through, a lot of the insurance agents that cover multiple lines and everything out there. So basically, the bottom line is that when it comes to insurance, when it comes to mortgage, when it comes to anything, when it comes to your house, competitive bids are best. Go out there and shop it, find out what's best for you and your family, and you're going to have a great experience. So in order to get in touch with us, you can call or text 407-566-2555. You can find us online at centralfloridarealestateradio.com, and we'll see you next week. Have a great one, everybody. Bye-bye.